time.
Well, we want to thank you for coming in, Attorney, as always. I forgot this was an election year, and as you see, that's Mr. Story. Some of this, what we're talking about, and what you just got finished talking about, if he was elected as a state senator, I would imagine you'd have to deal with some of these issues, huh?
Well, certainly would. It's a very, very big issue in our area, and I do appreciate the opportunity that they have for our residents to go get this information. You know, as I say, information is power, because this, you know, in my personal business, I'm in the home medical equipment business, and I run into a lot of people a lot of times that are underinsured, improperly insured, that don't even have anything at all, and don't understand what their benefits are. So this is a good opportunity, and I think this Alabama Tom Bigby is part of this operation.
Yes.
Good organization that helps a lot of people in the community. And
Well,
so
thank
they
you.
serve
Thank
this whole area.
Yeah, that's pretty good timing. Attorney, well, we'll see you next. I'm going to come out today because I'm going to come out and take some pictures.
Oh,
today.
awesome.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so
Okay.
much. And
Thank
we love coming to see you folks, and we hope every turn out.
All right, thank you so much. Okay. All right, we're going to do this we're going to segue into the next segment. And of course, Mike Reynolds is going to do most of the talking here.
Well, no. We're gonna let candidate Mark Story do most of the talking.
Questioning, not talking. Mr. Story is going to.
And we're gonna let the callers.
All right, when the
ask
callers,
questions.
that's right, they're able to call in too.
What a huge topic, and to caboose on to what Clayton just said, you know, this insurance thing is so darn complicated, and I was in one of those situations personally where I had to really do some research to get the proper health care coverage. And my wife and I were discussing this actually this morning because she does, in fact, she receives some disability income, and she qualifies for Medicare, and the whole thing changes this year. Everything is different. And just about the time we got to where we thought we understood what we were doing, it changed, Mark, and I know you deal with that in your business.
Yes, certainly we do. And as you pointed out in your household as an example, and as Clayton mentioned as well, the husband could have some certain needs and the wife have something different. They may have an adult child live with them as well. They may have a different need as well. And there's a lot of stuff to look at. Who the providers are in your area. Does your physician take whatever plan you're going to? Same as the drug plans. We run into this a lot with the medical equipment. We may have a patient on oxygen that changes to a different plan, but we can't provide for them. The only provider may be out of town. So that's a lot of stuff to look at.
It's pretty serious.
Yeah, it's serious. So it's not unusual to have multiple plans within a home for various spouses.
Well, I noticed this year, I'm glad that they made it so that whatever part of the county you live in, they had 2 weeks ago they were at the health department in Selma, now they're in Valley Grande, so they're servicing, as much of the population to be centrally located as they can. So if you're listening and you need to go and take advantage of this workshop, they will help you save money. I've heard a lot of people.
Well, even if you don't think you have a snowball's chance of being qualified in anything they're talking about, if I had time, I'd go up there because certainly there are going to be folks to ask questions.
Right. The
same kind of questions I have as I try to figure out this complicated stuff, and it's very complicated. And if you want to make it even more complicated, go talk to the folks at the healthcare facilities, the hospitals, the folks that provide health care. It's amazing. Mark, good to have you on the program.
Appreciate it, Mike.
All right, let's talk about something. Let's go ahead and get and we're going to let some callers jump in here and get into this. Bring everybody up to date and let everybody know what's going on, because there are a lot of questions out there. You and I had a chat earlier this week with a very upscale person in the community, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna vote for you. I'm gonna write you in." The deal is, you don't have to write anything in. Your name is on the ballot. You have qualified as an independent candidate. You had to go through a process of having petitions signed, filed with the Secretary of State. Your name is on the ballot.
Exactly, Mike. A lot of people remember the petitions going around earlier. What that was the access to the ballot. We got over 2,000 signatures on there to allow us to be placed on the ballot. So you're exactly right. I'm on there as an independent candidate, not affiliated with any party. We've been certified through the state. We're on all the ballots all over the state. People are already voting on those ballots. But yeah, the concern about how to do this, a lot of them say, yeah, I'm writing in. And exactly as you said, that was, I hear that frequently. They don't have to write me in. I'm on the ballot. So I'm just as legitimate as anybody else on the ballot. So, yeah.
A lot of folks don't understand that Senate District 23 was redistricted this past legislative session. So a few areas in some of the southern and southwestern counties went away, and some other population areas were added, but you're still covering roughly 5 counties?
It's actually 8 counties.
I'm sorry, 8
Yeah,
counties.
yeah, it says 6 entire counties and portions of 2. And you're exactly right. There's people that contact me every day that say, you've not put signs in our yard yet. Well, they're not in my district anymore. And it's news to a lot of them. And when we first started in this process, a lot of people didn't realize that they had just recently been redrawn, those districts.
What about Dallas County? Is it all of Dallas County?
100% of Dallas County. I can name them: Dallas, period, Lowndes, Wilcox, Butler, Conecuh, portions of Marengo, portions of Monroe County, 2/3 of Monroe, and over in the Linden area in Marengo County. So it's a lot of coverage. It goes down. Just kind of the reference point. A lot of people, when you're headed to Mobile, headed to the beach, when you're going down the interstate, the rest areas are in this district. That's a long way from here.
That's halfway to Gulf Shores.
That's what we always call the halfway point as a kid. We knew we were almost to the beach, but you think about from northern Perry County to the southern part of Conecuh County, that's almost to the Florida line. You're 1 county away from Florida down there, so it's a lot of real estate, a lot of areas.
Let me ask you, what are some of the issues that you're running up on, and what is your platform for this run?
Randy, what I run across all the time, and this is things that I've observed from myself as well, is economic development. We seem to get overlooked frequently from the powers that be in Montgomery. No matter who's been in charge of whether it's Democrats or Republicans, we've been overlooked in this area, and we need an opportunity to get jobs in here, industrial development into our areas. Our tax base is not as much as those other areas, and it's, we got a lot of farmland, a lot of timberland, a lot of vacant land, people moving away, but we still have a lot of potential in this area. Obviously, we have resources, and we have a lot of people willing to work, wanting to work, and we've got to get people to recognize that in Montgomery, that we need our chance at that.
As an independent, do you think that if elected, that you would be able to? It would put you in a position to work with both parties, or what?
Exactly, and I this is something I hear every election cycle. People say, I don't want to have to vote Republican. I don't want to have to vote Democrat. I want to choose the person that I like. This guy, I like what he says. I don't want to have to go by what the party dictates. And that's what this is, opportunity is independent. That's going to give them opportunity to choose a person based on that person, not what the party dictates to them. But to answer your question, when we get to Montgomery, we have to work with the powers that are there. And it's obvious. We're in the Senate, Republicans are 3-1 to Democrats, a House 2-1. If we send a Democrat over there, they're not going to be able to work within the confines of what's there. We can go there and we can try to prove our point. We're Democrats, and this is, we're going to prove our point. But as an independent, I've already reached out to both sides, and they understand, and they're willing to work with us, and that's what we've got to do. We've got to send somebody over there willing to work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's often said, and I don't want to coin a phrase used by anybody else, but by gosh, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And we've said this on this program, Mark, many times. Governors get elected, powerful senators get elected. They drive around us and fly over us. They consider this to be a, pardon the phrase, but a wasteland where we should be just handed out some federal checks and some federal money, and our poor black folks just need to be on this island over here, and we're going to patronize them, but we're not going to really give them any opportunity. And I'm tired of seeing the roads going to Auburn, the roads going to Huntsville. I travel around the state. I see the infrastructure everywhere but here.
Exactly, Mike. And you hit on a good point there. this area traditionally votes Democrat. So a Democratic candidate on the state level, he knows, I've got these in my pocket. I really don't have to do much for these people. Just go there, wave, kiss a baby or two, shake hands with a few people, and move on. He goes to the areas that are in play. He goes in areas that these people might vote for a Republican, they might vote for a Democrat. The Republicans don't bother coming here other than to do the same thing, kiss a few babies, shake hands, and move on.
Except John McCain. John McCain is the only...
Did him a lot of good, didn't it?
But you look at it, this area rarely supports the Republican candidate ever, and so they don't waste a lot of effort, resources here. They don't have to negotiate and work with people. If we were all in play here, the possibility of getting those people here to look at us, to recognize our potential and what we can do, that's what we've got to do. And this actually is running as independent, gives us that opportunity. The Democrats don't have to go so far as to vote for Republican. Republicans don't have to go so far as to vote for a Democrat. I'm there in the middle and willing to work to make this community a better place.
Now we're running some commercials encouraging people to vote on a straight Democratic
Hey,
ticket.
political commercials, Randy. Make sure you say that.
Well, this is pay. That's right. But the thing is, I'm hoping that people are not confused in that many of the candidates that have already received a Democratic endorsement, they don't have anybody running against them. People need to remember that you're the only person that's really on this locally, that's on the ballot.
That's really up for grabs, is what you're trying to say. The other candidates without opposition on the Republican
No
side,
opposition, that's right. They're going to get in
of
either
course,
way.
If nobody votes for them and somebody writes in one name, that's a problem.
Then that's a problem,
But
right.
what you're trying to say is,
He's got a shot, is my point.
Mark is the only candidate in a contested or reasonably contested race.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right, Randy. That a lot of these races have been decided. They were decided in June for this area, and just like the fluke of somebody doing a write-in campaign to get some enough votes. But most of those races are decided. Dallas County pretty much decides their offices in June, and good or bad, that's what they are here. And if somebody chooses to vote straight Democrat, which they can at the top of the ballot, as your paid political announcements talk about, they can make that mark at the top, but they can also go straight on down to Senate District 23 race and mark an independent candidate, Mark Story.
They can vote both?
They can do that.
I didn't know that.
And I know that's been a point of contention and question. It was actually even as late as recently as Channel 8 News this morning. They had someone is disputing that. But the Secretary of State's office has put out a statement that you can do that. I've checked with probate judge after probate judge in every county to make sure that we're all on the same page with that. And they said, certainly you can. You can make a mark at the top, whether straight Democrat or straight Republican, go down in any race in there, do a contradictory mark that does not affect anything but that one race.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I did. It came up 4 years ago. I think we had a situation where it was a regional race. I want to say it was either a House race or a Senate race where that was the case. All right, Mark. Let's get down to the. Let's put the rubber on the road. I did a little homework. 2017 census data, updated from the 2010 census. 65.8% of the people that live in this Senate district are black. Traditionally, if there's a black candidate on the ballot, they're going to vote for the black candidate. And in certainly this case, there is. How in the world do you feel like you're going to get enough votes, enough black votes, to be elected?
Your numbers are very true. I've heard figures around that, but that's beside the point. The vast majority of the voters in this district are black. But I have a confidence in these people, all people. Now, I'm not talking code when I say any of this stuff. This is stating facts. I have faith in the people of this district to vote for what they think is best when given the choice, not having it dictated to them who they're supposed to vote for, but when they're given the choice, an opportunity to meet both candidates. And again, I'm not saying anything negative about my candidate, but I would like them to know me. I'm born and raised in this community, and maybe we can get into that a little bit, but this is home for me, and a lot of people here know of me, but they don't really know me. And I would love to, give them the opportunity.
Which leads me to I had this, it just dawned on me. Yeah, why are you running? Most people wouldn't have even. Most people would have said, well, the Democratic endorsement is done.
Yeah.
So what inspired you, or what made you say, well, I'm going to run?
Well,
to win.
Well, and Randy, I'm glad you asked that, because that's obviously a very important question. I'm on the Dallas County Board of Education, been there for around 18 years. I'm the chairman of the board, and I had my sights on running for that seat, the Senate seat, for years. And Senator Sanders is a very powerful person. He's got a machine in place where it's easy for him to be reelected. And I was observing when he retired that I would run, and I followed him closely in his editorials and listening to him. And I thought maybe he wouldn't run this past time, but when he said he was going to run again, as well as other political types and business leaders in our community said they were watching and they would like to run. But when it happened the way it did, it stepped up my time frame that I had to run.
Explain to us what happened and the way that it did.
All right, we'll go there.
So everybody's on the same page. This is only fair.
And let me say this too. Obviously, what he did was legal. Was it good sportsmanship? I don't know. But he withdrew his name. His daughter put her name in, and she is basically, as we talked about earlier, June sets who your candidate is, and most likely going to be the winner. So by putting her name in at the last minute, no one else was willing to run against an incumbent as powerful as Senator Sanders. So, and a lot out of respect to him as well, not to run against him. He's a very well known, very well recognized figure here. But out of respect, they didn't run against him. But when he did what he did, and she got in there, she was going to be it.
So, and the reason, again, I don't want anyone to take this as an endorsement or not an endorsement, but from the kind of feedback that I get on the street and from what people expect from me as far as an analysis, to break it down a little further, a lot of people were offended and felt that it was a strategy that basically locked anyone else out from being able to compete. They didn't feel like it was fair. Because it was done at the very last minute. Was it the day of when he decided not to run? And
yeah, my understanding is
something like that. I've forgotten all the details. And so the only reason why I make the note so that our audience, again, my mission is to encourage independent thought and for people to take an assessment. We know one thing: whoever wins, we need to, like you said, Mike, we got to do something different. Because we're in the hole right now.
Here's the history, and to defend Senator Sanders, and I think Mark will agree with this. When we had Democratic leadership in the Senate, when we had a Democratic governor, Senator Sanders was effective. And I know I worked with him personally on some projects that brought in really good money for Craig Field to help us land some industry. So when the state had at least close to a half of Democratic representation in the legislature, Hank Sanders was effective, and we got a lot more. He had to have
white support in order to have gotten any of that done.
That was done. That was over with 8 years ago. So the unfortunately, I hate to use this word, the dynamics have changed, and whoever goes to Montgomery to represent our poor Senate district, and I'm tired of saying that, to represent the highest poverty level, to represent the highest unemployment in the state, whoever goes to Montgomery to get anything is going to have to reach across the aisle no matter what.
Exactly. And as you stated, Senator Sanders at one point was considered one of the most powerful men in Alabama. He held the purse strings of the Education Trust Fund. But that was at a different era, like you said, different dynamics at that time. And but Don Siegel was not there anymore. The Democrats are not in charge. So, and as you said too, I hate to keep talking about this too as well, but it's a fact. It's a fact. We're 29% below the rest of the state in take-home pay for our community here. You know, and when I say that, that's the entire district. We're talking 8 counties. We're below the state, basically a third below.
So what could you
everybody else.
do different as if you become the elected state senator? What is your platform, and what can you do to impact those numbers?
Okay. And jobs is going to be it. And then I know, and I can't promise we're going to open a factory here or there or wherever. And that's obviously beyond the ability of one person to do. But what I can do is work with the economic development boards of all these counties. The government as close to the people as possible, see what their needs are, and be their representative in Montgomery to work with and demand attention. Not looking for some special interest or some government program. We want to get legitimate investments here. And people need to understand how business comes to a place. It comes there out of a need they're trying to profit. They're trying to create a profit. We gotta have an infrastructure. We gotta have the dynamics in the community that's welcoming to a business to be here, to expand, and that's got to be done through relationships. And relationships go from Montgomery to each of the individual counties, the individual economic developments, the industries, and that's what I want to do in the first few weeks is meet with these groups and these communities. And I'm not going to keep saying black and white, but I'm going to say the people that are there, I want to work with those people. And it's not to prepare me for running again, because as far as I'm concerned, there could be term limits. I don't care. But what we need to do is get this place up and running, and it's all about profit for businesses. And I know profit's a dirty word for some people, but that's what makes the wheels turn. That's how we get things done.
Unfortunately, we seem to have a real unique situation in Selma. I don't even know if we want to get you in that conversation or not, Mike. What do you think about the commenting on Selma's governmental situation right now?
Well, there's nothing any candidate can say that the public out there doesn't already know. We got a mess, and the mess is out of control. And I hate to be critical because everybody that knows me knows I've worn out my pom poms. I've been cheerleading for this place for a long time, but we got the biggest mess we could possibly ever have, and we got a clean house when it comes to the municipal election. Mark's not saying that.